Email tracking enables productivity and collaboration to allow team members to know when and where an email has been saved to Microsoft 365. These instructions will detail how to set up email tracking for OnePlace Mail in your Azure environment. There are 4 main steps to enable the email tracking service, and the first one is to create the email tracking app registration in Azure AD. Secondly, we will deploy the email tracking service via the Azure Marketplace. Then we'll deploy the package to the email tracking service, and finally we will configure the OnePlace Mail client installation. So to get started, we will set up the app registration for email tracking within your Microsoft 365 tenant. First, we'll need to gather some information that we'll need to complete this setup. We will need a subscription ID which is available in your tenant, and this can be any valid subscription ID. So navigate to Azure Subscriptions and take note of the subscription ID that we will be using and copy this to Notepad. We will also need your tenant ID. Select Azure Active Directory, copy the tenant ID to the Notepad. Now, to set up the app registration, we do need to ensure that the latest Azure CLI is installed on your computer. Once installed, please download the script, which is available via instructions on our website, to create the app registration. You will need to run this script via PowerShell. So to do this, right-click on the downloaded file and select Run with PowerShell. You will be prompted to enter your tenant domain name, and you will also be prompted to log into Azure. When prompted, enter the name of the app registration as the OnePlace Mail email tracking. You will see an end result with the application ID and the client secret. Please make sure to copy these details to the Notepad. Excellent, the app registration has now been completed. Now we need to deploy the email tracking service via the Azure Marketplace. To do so, open Azure and search for Marketplace. Select the Marketplace resource and search for OnePlace Mail email tracking and select Create. Now we need to create a resource group and enter the name OnePlace Mail email tracking. Click Create New and enter a name for the resource group. This must be unique within the selected Azure subscription. Select the relevant region that suits your organization, and from the Notepad, copy the details that we obtained earlier. Select Review and Create. Select Create. Now this may take a few moments to complete. Fantastic, the Azure resources for email tracking have now been created. Step 3, deploying the code package to the email tracking service. So far, we have created Azure resources to support running the application. Now we need to add some application code to process updates. First, please ensure that Azure CLI is installed on your computer. This should have been completed as part of Step 1 already. However, if it has not been installed, please install. Now, from the supporting documentation on the website, download the email tracking application to your computer. Once the download has been completed, navigate to the Azure Function resource that was created with the Azure Marketplace offer by searching for Function App in Azure. Select the Function App resource type and find the correct Azure function from the deployment and click on the row to open the Azure resource instance. Please note down the details required. Copy the values for the resource group, subscription ID, and function app name into Notepad. Now you can download or copy the script from supporting documentation. Run the script via PowerShell, and we recommend running this script from the same folder where you downloaded the code for simplicity. When prompted, enter your domain name for your Microsoft 365 tenant. Enter your credentials to log in, and now enter the details previously noted down. You will be notified when the deployment has been completed. Email tracking manages updates to the application using function app deployment slots. This allows for new updates to be pushed for upgrading purposes. For the first-time deployment, you will need to simply swap the slots so that the application is in the production slot. Please navigate to the function app instance, select Deployment Slots tab, and select Swap button. Proceed to complete the swap by clicking on the Swap button. Great, the code has now been deployed. The final step is to configure the OnePlace Solutions admin client to push this setting out to each client install. Please note this setting is available in OnePlace Solutions Desktop Release 8.9.1 and above. Please launch the OnePlace Solutions admin client and select the Central Configuration tab on the left-hand side. Search or select the Email Tracking Service configuration item. Now you'll need to navigate to the Azure Function resource created in the browser. Open the resource item and copy the URL value that is available in the Overview tab. Going back to the OnePlace Solutions admin client, paste this value into the field for Email Tracking Azure Service-Based Address and select Save and OK. Make sure you save the profile as this will be pushed out to users within the default 60 minutes timeframe. That's it. Email tracking has now been set up.